Good afternoon all. We are the Autobots from Marvell, ready to roll out bring your own configuration to SONiC. A surprising reality is that even when the user's requirement is the same, user's SONiC configuration needs to change based on the platform capability. Consider an example of firewall security ACL rules where user has both IPv4 and IPv6 ACL rules. This is typically achieved by creating separate IPv4 and separate IPv6 ACL tables. However, some platforms can support v4 and v6 rules in the same hardware table. Here it is optimal to create a single ACL table of v4, v6. For optimal usage of hardware resources, the configuration needs to be based on hardware capability. One approach followed in SONiC was that ArcAgent abstracts the hardware differences from the operator. For example, in the case of mirroring, there are platforms that support both IPv4 and IPv6 mirror ACL tables using the same hardware table. Here, SONiC optimizes resource usage by always creating a combined wider IPv4 plus IPv6 hardware ACL table, even if the user creates only an IPv4 ACL table. So this approach allows for the reuse of the hardware table when an IPv6 mirror table is created by the operator later. However, if the operator does not have IPv6 in this deployment, this strategy results in wasting hardware resources. Therefore, we need to allow operators to optimize the configuration based on the actual deployment. We saw how ArcAgent tries to address the hardware differences, though not always helpful. Further, it ends up cluttering the SONiC code, and which gets even more cluttered as we keep adding newer platforms. Now, let us take the case where an operator new to SONiC tries to port a Cisco iOS configuration to SONiC. Now, there are multiple ways of porting, and the burden is on the operator to choose the right model based on the underlying hardware capability. To summarize, our goals for this hackathon are allow operators to have a unified configuration across platforms and yet achieve optimal hardware resource usage, enable new operators to migrate to SONiC without having to deal with the hardware platform capability differences, and lastly, clean up SONiC code and make it easier to onboard new platforms in SONiC. We introduce a tool, SONiC BYOC, that leverages SONiC's open extensible design to solve all the three problems we discussed so far. BYOC is a tool that takes the administrator's configuration and transforms it to a SONiC configuration that is optimal for a given platform. This transformation is governed by platform transformer rules that are provided by the platform vendor. The administrator can fine-tune these rules based on the deployment needs.
Demo 1 showcases platforms capability-based optimization. For this demo, we are going to take a user SONiC config having a separate v4 and v6 ACL tables and corresponding rules. Orange highlights v4 table information and blue highlights v6 table information. Corresponding ACL rules are also shown here. This demo uses a Marvell Prestola device example that does not support combining v4 v6 tables. Hence, the platform rules YAML BYOC capabilities, which resides in the corresponding device config path, contains combine v4 v6 as follows. Here we can see that BYOC tool is also integrated into SONiC config load command for ease of operator use. This command takes optional arguments like BYOC followed by the user config file followed by the output generated file, which will be loaded into running config and can later be saved to config.db. Since combine v4 v6 rules is false, separate ACL tables for v6 and v4 are maintained, with each having their corresponding ACL rules as seen in the show output. Now we will use a Marvell Terlinks device that supports combining v4 and v6 tables with the same user config used before. As you can see, the combine v4 v6 platform rules is set to true for this device. We invoke the BYOC SONiC config load command. We can see that a single v4 plus v6 combined ACL table is created and all ACL rules are created inside this combined table.
Demo 2 showcases the deployment-based optimization. Let's take a look at a sample user SONiC configuration for mirror. Orange highlights the mirror session information, green highlights the flow-based mirroring using ACL table type as mirror. The platform rules file contains suppress v6 as false. We'll run the BYOC tool with the user config using SONiC config load command. The show running config output indicates that a custom ACL table type BYOC mirror v4 v6 highlighted in orange is created with matches containing both v4 and v6 fields in addition to an ACL table and rule mapping to this table type. The show output displays BYOC mirror v4 v6 custom ACL table type, table, rule, and the mirror test session 1. The custom table type creation in ArcAgent uses existing flow. Now for the sake of the demo, a config reload is done to remove the above created info from the device. Then update suppress v6 to true in the platform rules YAML file. We invoke the BYOC tool using the same arguments as before. On looking at the show running config output, now we observe that a custom ACL table type BYOC mirror v4 highlighted in orange is created with matches containing only v4 fields in addition to an ACL table and rule mapping to this new table type.
This demo talks about smart platform aware migration. We will see a sample user Juno's configuration that supports separate v4 and v6 ACL table and corresponding rules. Family init highlighted in orange represents v4 table with two rules. One to allow UDP packet from specific source IP address and other to drop remaining. Family init 6 highlighted in blue represents v6 table with two rules, one to allow ICMP v6 packet to specific destination address and drop the remaining. The platform rules file has combined a v4 v6 as true to demonstrate the platform capability even in the case of NOS migration. Let's invoke the BYOC tool with this user config. We can see that a single v4 plus v6 combined ACL table is created with all the rules. Similarly, other NOS configuration like Cisco Arista can also be used.
Let us conclude with the benefits. For operators, it simplifies maintaining multiple SONiC platforms since the user configuration remains the same. Further, BOAC simplifies the migration of black box network operating system configurations to SONiC. For platform vendors, BYOC helps easy tuning of SONiC behavior to optimally use the hardware capability. It also allows the addition of newer platforms in SONiC without having to do SONiC code changes. And lastly, it simplifies SONiC by eliminating the need for platform-specific code. It also makes the adoption of SONiC easier, and most importantly, a tool like BYOC could be done in a couple of days thanks to the open and disaggregated design of SONiC.
All right, thank you. Marvell, anything else you want to add?
Nothing else, yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the judges?
So Ravi, one quick question. Here, you are having a static configuration, right? How about you get the platform capability dynamically and in the ArcAgent based on the configuration you get, you optimize there, right? That's an option, ideal, right?
Yeah, ideally that's true, Venkat. That's how it should be done. But the reason why today's SONiC ArcAgent is not like that is there are a lot of cases where we cannot do very simple SI capability queries. For example,
Right.
whether a v4 and v6 could be done together, that cannot be done with a SI capability query because it's a combination capability. It doesn't talk
That's
about a
correct.
v4 capability, right? So those are limitations with SI.
Right.
And we have talked about it multiple times. Our community, it doesn't. That's
Right.
not. We didn't find a way, and we keep
Yeah.
seeing ArcAgent, more such checks coming into ArcAgent because platform capability
Yeah.
is not working. So that's what we have
Yeah.
been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. More and more, we are trying to leverage the platform capabilities dynamically. I think if there are gaps and if there are like challenges, I think we can talk more on that and address it accordingly. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Ravi, another quick question. Your theme is bring your own configuration, right? So, but the configuration coming from various vendors, you present it in a manner that SONiC understands it. So there is a pre-tuning of the different vendor configurations to the SONiC understandable configuration for the optimizations, right?
Two things, right? See, one, we can always do as usual, right? Like everybody's doing, we can do some kind of tool for transforming. What we have seen is, right, this is whatever we are seeing, the ACL rules, 90-80% of it, right, can be done just with simple translation. All we need is, and what is not with the AI tools, what is not there is understanding this platform capability, because that is not open source. Every vendor has his own platform capability, right, which is not available for public to understand and LLM tools to learn. So all we are
No,
saying
yeah,
is,
my question is more about you bring in a X vendor configuration file, but that does not,
yeah,
but that is not understandable by your tool. But you still need some uh, transforming that particular vendor's configuration to the
exactly.
system.
So as and when for the demo we took a Juno CLI, but as and when for every new vendor we are bringing in, we have to extend the translator. We have to create a translator to do this translation.
Okay.
But the whole idea, sorry, just to miss, right? The idea is user can have a single configuration syntax and that will work across platforms. I think what many people don't realize is if you have a single, just let's say I have a SONiC configuration, a single SONiC configuration, and if I have devices from two different SONiC devices from two different vendors, it might not be always optimal to use the same configuration on both these devices. This is something over practice we see with customers, right? Because it doesn't use the hardware, internal hardware resources optimally. So this is why, and they have to do a lot of changes, right? So this is what the main goal that we are trying to solve. User can, all this, right? User can have something common, and internally the tools that can be another layer of SONiC that can hide all these differences to the user.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you so much, Marvell.
Thank you.
Let's move to the next topic.